Welcome to the new episode of RisknFlow. Today I have amazing guest with me, the founder and CEO of Breaks, Jaana Komscha-Härkönen. Welcome.
Thank you. So nice to be here.
Jaana, it's my pleasure that you're here today talking with me. The breaks that you have, in the breaks you have the groundbreaking innovation, happiness as a service. At first, tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, of course, greeting from the happiest country in the world, which is Finland. Let's see how it will be in March. I think that the latest results will be out, but at least we've been there for the 6 years in a row. But going back to the happiness as a service, we discovered that work life has been changing quite dramatically during the years. And many of the business leaders are spending quite a bit of a time trying to find out solutions, how they can get their people to be more engaged and perhaps how to build better teams, etc. And there are various service providers in the well-being and also education industry. And it's hard to find these services if you want to offer, say, team days or just some well-being exercises at the office. You need to go and Google and ask for the offers and find the actual service providers. So what we have done, we're building a platform where it's easy access to find them all under one umbrella, and also the quality is high. That the providers that are working with us, we can guarantee that the outcome and the service is extremely good. So, sort of, I could call us also that the business methodology is quite similar to compared to, say, Airbnb, or although they are in B2C field, we are completely in B2B, but in a way platform where you can find we're like the matchmaker from the well-being and trading providers to the best business buyers. And that's what we call happiness as a service, because at the end of the day, we want to create more happier employees, happier workplaces, and we tend to say that we aim to bring life back to the office. So that's like what we wish to achieve.
That's wonderful and really catchy lining, the happiness as a service. I'm sure that will lead to something exciting. What about then a little bit about the name, the breaks? Because it's a funny thing. I've talked with entrepreneurs from San Francisco. They have roots in Finland, so I don't know if that's the reason, but their company name is related to Finnish word, and you have chosen an English word. I don't know. Where comes the breaks?
Well, originally, like many of the startups have started from somewhere. So actually what we few years ago provided were online breaks. So they were basically done. So even during this session, we could have like a 15-minute break facilitated by some creative professional, giving us time to relax, just to have a real break from the actual work. Because that's, if you look at any of the brain research done, that's what we should be do. But now it's even getting worse. I guess that nobody's even, like, we're having these constant Teams and Zoom, etc. meetings from one to another, and people are probably forgetting that they will not be any more, beneficial if they just don't have breaks. Their creativity lacks, everything just drops, because no one can be 8 hours effective. No one. You have a look at any of the studies. So that's what we believed and still believe, but once we were listening to the customers, we realized that we need to make a little bit twist around it and start to look it from the other angle. But that's the where the actual breaks name comes from. And you can also think it that way, that we are breaking some routines. We are breaking, so the break is actually bringing something new in order to make you feel better, or perhaps even changing your way of working. So in a way, breaking your old patterns so that you will find some new ways to be better or more successful at work. So there can be, some angles from that as well. But yeah, we chose the English word because we want to be international company. I think that from day one, I was making a little bit of joke about it, that when I talked to a few people, that guess what? Now you're talking with the future successful Finnish sort of a service industry company, and people are laughing that, Jaana, what are you talking about? And I'm like, just watch me out. So I'm like putting full speed on, and of course the happiness as a service itself is made for the international markets, obviously, because Finns don't even consider, if you ask from the Finnish people, they're like, are we that happy? And we don't probably even realize how happy we are or how happy we should be compared to many other countries.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing. And I agree, we need the breaks during this hectic device related work all day long. But before breaking in more in detail to your company, Jaana, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you're from, where you come from, where your roots are.
That's I can have a short or long answer to that. So I'm going somewhere in between. So we're based in Helsinki. So I'm born in Finland, city girl, so to say. Never been living in the countryside, except I did live a year in New Zealand in sheep farm. So there is a small part of me experienced in the countryside during that year. I'm a mother of 3 children, having interesting hobbies as well. I sing in a rock band and dance. So those are the things that are my breaks from all this hassle. And when we go to risk taking later on, they are a big part of giving me the energy and the willingness to take the risks. Then what else I could tell about myself? I love new challenges. I'm always open to new meetups and discussions, and I consider myself as a very creative person. Where there's someone tells me that that's impossible, I might start to think that, but it's everything is possible if you change the angle. So I'm a very curious person towards life, towards people, and I love to help others. So that's my passion. Even from when I founded the company, it was not because of building a successful big exits type of a thing. It was about me wanting to change the world and help the people. That sounds very vague. Like, oh my goodness, again, these people who are telling that. But that's, for me, that's true. That's what keeps me driving, keeps me going. And I intend to do something good in the world. I feel that we would need a lot more people thinking like that. Of course, money is important, but like I keep saying, it's just money. So I suppose that the challenges we're facing now worldwide are a little bit also money created. So there's a lot of money in the world, but around the world, the happiness level is not rising. So that is a good question. We could also talk about it in some other podcast, that why is it so? And my roots, they go all back to, I think that my persistent way of approaching life, and also the never give up attitude comes from Karelia, which used to be part of Finland, and that's where my grandparents are from. They needed to leave their home during the war, and that generation really saw something that our generation can't even imagine, although now the war is quite close by, unfortunately. But that's where my roots are, and still I remember my grandparents as the most happiest people that I've met, and they were just full of life. I guess that the Karelian way of living was very how would I say, engaging, and people accepted people as who they were, and everyone was welcomed. You could go to their, knock on the door, but not even knock on the door. Some guests just opened the door and came in, and I was like, "Grandma, can you just, why are you keeping your door open?" And she said that, well, if someone needs a place to stay, they're always welcomed. I'm like, okay, great. So, but it was really interesting to grow up during the summers when we spent time with my grandma's place. They lived in eastern part of Finland, so that was a countryside actually. So I get these great memories from childhood when it really was that you help each other. You're relying on your neighbor's help, and everyone just helped each other out. In today's world, I don't even know my neighbors who are living in the same apartment. So it was really different, the world back then.
Yeah, the Karelian history, for me also from Finland, it's interesting, but I still feel I don't know a lot about that part of the history of the Finland, the Karelian people. But I'm glad I know you, Jaana, to get to know more.
Yeah, I still remember my grandma back at the time. I didn't realize that her Finnish did include a lot of Karelian words. For me, they were just very common. But I remember when my friends called back then, we really had the physical phones, by the way, when they called to my grandma's place when I was there during the summer. And one of my good friends, even today, I remember her saying that I was just, I didn't understand a thing your grandma was saying, but I just didn't hang up because I thought that it might be that you might be coming to the phone, but I didn't understand what she was saying. It's like, how did you not understand my grandma? I obviously she spoke Finnish, I guess, with that sort of an eastern part of Finland's dialect is also a little bit harder, and then when you add on the Karelian some words, it might be that you feel that this is Finnish, but you don't understand a thing. So, but great memories, really great ones.
Sounds like it, and I think we can really learn from that history also. And you mentioned that they were the happiest people you've met. I understand that your grandparents, they're like happy, but also there is this persistent side, the tough as an iron or something like that. Is that true?
It is. Well, if I think about my grandma, who I think about a lot actually now that sometimes when I'm thinking of my roots, she lived by herself completely in the middle of nowhere until she turned, I think that she was 90, when she finally had to accept the fact that she can't live by herself anymore. And just imagine that, there was a little bit of help with the food. There was, I think, that food service that went there once a day, and a little bit help with the medicines. But other than that, she was really very bright until the last weeks of her life. So, could follow the world. Of course, I think that the digitalization and the changing from Finnish marks to euros as a currency, she got a little bit confused about that. And when you realize that the world was changing so fast, so her type of roots and the background where you were really like even in her place there was this there were so many undigital solutions, even going to cooking like ovens, etc., where you used wood to heat up the oven, etc. It was really new to her to have all this electricity coming up, and but she could manage pretty well. And it was really, I think that it's a precious thing for me that I've been seeing that life back then, and now hopefully trying to remind or tell my kids about that. Can you imagine that it wasn't still that long ago when those things were really like part of our lives? And they're looking at me like, no, I can't, Mom. I can't think about it.
Yeah. What do you think? There is this persistence, happiness. Have those side of your, or have they have effect on your personal growth, your journey towards the entrepreneurship? Do you think there is a relation?
Absolutely. Actually, my other grandparents from the same place, they were entrepreneurs as well. This, what is it called? Kyläkauppias in Finnish. So they were like having a market there in the middle of nowhere again. In a way, like a grocery store in it was called these grocery store shops around the countryside back then. And I don't think that they exist anymore, or a few of them might, but it was the time that it was very common that, every corner had their own grocery store shop. It was a little small place where you could go and buy milk, etc., what you needed. So seeing that and experiencing the hard work, because they were working all the time. I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but they were. Sunday was the rest day. All the other days from I think that very early in the morning until the late evening. And again, the customer service was available throughout the day. If someone came very late, they always opened up, and they didn't say that, no, come back tomorrow, we'll open that. No, but what do you need? And that was the way to go. But I'm pretty sure that those have been important part of my life, seeing and thinking about, being an entrepreneur one day, and which is something that all the people don't want to be. So I think that the role models there were already there, and I'm pretty sure they play a big part of who I am today.
I'm really fan of these characters of the grandparents. I really love the inspiration they give. If I think my grandparents, they really have those elements also that you described, the persistency. They always offer their help. They open their doors. They are just so heartful people. Like, there is so much you can take from them and cherish after even they passed away. And then when you decided to take that leap towards your own company, the breaks, what led to that decision?
A good question. I guess that it was definitely not the timing, because timing was from all the angles very wrong. Some people would say probably that having a newly born twin girls at home, is that a good time to found a startup? For me, it was. I think that I had enough time. I had been working for quite a long time at Helsinki Airport, having experience from various work life tasks. And then I just felt like there is something bigger I want to do. Having a nice job, great colleagues, in a way, everything was quite steady. But I had this, feeling that, what do I want to do when I grow up? And by the way, still thinking about that. So that's a never-ending question. But and it just I always knew that I want to be an entrepreneur, by the way. I knew that during the school time, we had one class full of people, and then the teacher asked us that who of you would want to be an entrepreneur? And 2 hands were raised. This was, I think that 2007, no, a bit earlier even. So imagine how small amount of people actually raised their hands, because everyone thought that only completely lunatics would start, to become entrepreneurs because of the Great Recession and all the horrible stories that people have been hearing, how you lose your house and how everything goes bad. And there I was like, but I want to. I just didn't have the idea. I always knew that that's my passion. So it took quite a bit of quite a few years to find the idea, but then I remember it was a decision that either I go back to work, I was on maternity leave, or then this is it now. I had some pieces that started to gather, and I started to find out more information about startup life. I studied back then at the school where they had this startup school. Actually, it was like a place to go if you want to know more about entrepreneurial life. And I got just so excited. I felt like I found home. I just didn't have the idea, but I felt like this is it. I knew that I have it in me. That once I find where I truly believe in, I knew that I'm gonna put my everything to it. And knowing myself as from the previous work life experiences, that I usually try to find a way, even the impossible way, or the solutions that are not so obvious, fixing problems I've been doing for the whole of my life, basically. So I thought that this probably will be helpful, that have some bit of a resilience and mindset of dreaming big, and mindset of positive attitude towards life, and mindset of networking. I think that's been very part of my journey throughout my life, that meeting people and talking to people and finding connections and creating connections. So that was a time that I just somehow you feel that this is it now. Either I'm gonna do it full speed on, or then I'm not gonna do it, and then probably we would not be talking here today, because the work that I did before that was so hectic that I don't think that I would have had the energy to, especially having the small twins at home. It was hard enough not having the, in a way, normal day job. And on top of that, I would have been running a startup. That would, for me, would have been impossible. So I needed to make a choice. And why and how, I had the feeling that this is it now. Of course, it was really scary, super risky. The riskiest decision I've ever made, that I just quit my job, don't have any security of income, of course, then having a husband and selling up your house, and you can make choices. That's what I keep saying to people, that you can either dream, and when you retire, you're gonna tell the stories that how I would have wanted to always do that. And I just knew that I don't want to be that person. I either want to tell that at least I tried and learned a lot, but I don't want to. This is not the thing that I want to remember later on, that I wish I would have done it. And then, and then my kids would probably remember that mom was all the time talking how she wanted to found this startup, and then she didn't, and then they're gonna be like, oh, I just felt that this is it now. Trusting my intuition, that I know that the world would need the solution like this, although the solution was a little bit different what I talked today. But anyways, and I trusted myself that I'm gonna do it. Then there were a couple of other people who believed it as well, which is super important once we talk a little bit later on. that you have the people around you who support you. Because if there were lots of people, of course, who thought that I'm completely have lost my mind, and are you for real, and how are you going to survive? And the questioning part was quite hard. But but then the people who were most closest to me, like my family and my closest friends, they were super supportive. Of course, having a little bit hesitation, like my father was asking that, Jaana, have you really thought about it through? Like, well, I have thought about it as much as you can, think about it. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I'm gonna give it a go. Okay, if that's what makes you happy, I think that's what he said, that then do it. And if you believe that it's in you, then who am I to stop you? And yeah, but it was super scary. I still remember when I sent the email that I'm gonna quit my job, and having those moments that I will never forget. It was like I just changed my life completely from a regular, in a way, safe job to very unbalanced world, and not knowing, sort of the unknowing, stepping into unknowing for, I don't know, forever probably, because this is a roadway where you don't know what's gonna happen next week. You can try to make some scenarios, but like we've learned, sometimes the world around you changes very fast.
That's really interesting when talking about risks, and especially that moment when you are between the two decisions. If you choose to take the sort of leap of faith, if you choose to take that risk, is there any key factor that led you made that decision, or is it just the gut feeling and your inner intuition that really said, I really need to do it now?
I guess, like I said, that I think that I have been searching for the idea and time for a long time, or I had been searching it for a long time. And then once it started to get clearer in my head that this could be it, and I had a great passion towards it, of course, that working life and how to make people cope better and feel better have been always close to my heart, because I used to work at HR and even in human resources department, and even my previous job, I always wanted to. I was part of the team where what we did together and creating nice meetups with the colleagues, and I wanted to be part of that. If somebody wanted ideas, I was like, hey, I have ideas what we could do together, and sort of lifting up the spirit. It was very important to me as a part of the team. So I thought that, of course, we can go back to my singing hobby, which was the eye opener. I started taking singing lessons over 15 years ago, and what those singing lessons did to me. Of course, it's great to learn how to sing, but it was more like an emotional break from everything. When your work days are filled with meetings and you're tackling difficult situations or negotiations, they were like a place where I was 1 hour away from everything, and I was just focusing on the notes and how to use your voice, and how to learn some new elements, and how to actually get it was like a break from everything. And I started to pay attention to it, that, oh my God, what is it that all the time after these singing lessons, I'm almost like a reborn woman. I go there very tired, whew, and then when I leave, it was like I can see it again. And all these crazy ideas that I had in my mind, they quite often rose after those singing lessons. And I started to talk about it at work that, hey, do you know people that these singing lessons are like gasoline for my ideas? And people look at me like, oh, what are you talking about? They are. I'm like, newborn girl. I can see it now. And why didn't I see it earlier? And the amount of creativity and creating connections just, boosted. So that was the trigger. I first thought that, of course, everyone should take singing lessons, but that's not the solution. But it could be. And it won't do any harm. I promise everyone listening to this, do go and try finding a great teacher. It'll help you. But then I thought that why actually people at work are not doing anything like this. So the original idea of breaks was actually bringing creative hobbies or methods to working life, which I still believe in. That's not what, it's not, that is part of our solution. You can buy from the well-being services also these singing lessons if someone would want to, etc. But having the personal experience of something that I felt so strongly that is lacking from the work life, and I felt like I had the keys in my hand that I wish that everyone would see, and they stop delivering and being like zombies at the workplace, and open up their eyes and put the lights off again, and wake up from that I'm just delivering mode into something what I experienced myself.
Yeah, that's really lifting up the energy when you can just break down of your daily work and just let yourself go. And actually what is really interesting just came up to my mind there. You talk about singing, and you really need to put your position like really tall, and you get to breathe. Like it's really physical thing also. Like you need to breathe. And what I think also, I have a history in yoga. I could find a sort of similarities in singing and yoga, because what I also see, the people don't know how to breathe, and maybe singing, maybe yoga could help you also, like with such a basic thing.
We don't. That's it. I don't want to be depressive here. We're talking about happiness and risks, but most of the people don't know how to breathe. This sounds so stupid, but that's the fact. They don't. Of course, they are breathing, but they don't know how to do it correctly. And it would give them so much more energy if they would know it. But that's not, unfortunately, that's not something that you can learn just like that. That's not one course or even 2 courses or even 3. It's a long road. So I think that I spent for the first singing years just to learn how to breathe, which is quite funny that you're doing exercises and you realize that you don't have a connection. It's most of the people are just using very, light breathing. When you start to know how to use your inner muscles and, even a back to help you to raise higher voices. And of course, it's a different thing when you want to use it for the singing, because then you have the variety so much. Just a regular speech, like we Finns, we have a very, how would I say?
Monotonous.
Yeah, way of speaking. Whereas in other countries, like taking French, where it's very lively, like merci beaucoup. It's already like this. Or Swedish, that the tone is so much more playful. But Finnish is like this. You just keep on talking and you don't even realize when the tone is changing. This is a very, very Finnish way. So, comparing it to Americans or many other nations, I think that we sound very serious, and our way of talking is very, just like you said, we tend to sound the same, although we're happy or sad or whatever. You can't hear it really well.
One short story about this. before we continue, because my boyfriend, he's from Spain, and I needed to do some video to represent, like a presentation of myself in Finnish, something like that. And I showed that to him, and then he asked, why would you have so like tired or like not excited about it? And I said, yes, I am. I'm happy there. And don't you see that? And he was like, try again, because my tone of voice was so like daga 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 daga. But I thought I was doing lively video or something like that.
Yeah, I know. We need to act a bit and be somehow conscious about the thing that our voice is quite dull. So you can do that. There's a lot of tricks you can do, and learn how to use your own voice. But it all starts from the breathing. So it sounds silly, but that's the fact.
Yeah. But hey, what you did really sound your boldest decision, really risky decision to jump to the unknown. Definitely there is up and downs on the journey of entrepreneurship, startup life, and sort of all of that. Have been there any mistakes you have faced, any risk that didn't go as you planned, any turnouts?
Well, I keep telling people that during my startup years, I've been making more mistakes than the right decisions. I suppose I'm very honest. That's the way it is, and I think that that's part of the risk taking as well. That failure is part of it. That if you're not, so you can't fail if you are never taking risks, and then you can't succeed either if you never take risks. So it's like this balance that sometimes, and then again, balance comes from the fact that if you're failing all the time and you feel like you're, I'm never gonna make it, we can go back up to later on what to do then, because that's hard. But if I would think about some very concrete examples about me failing, or I think that sometimes I'm relying too much on something that's gonna go well, and starting to, like, when I'm thinking about investor rounds, for instance, that having the feeling that although no papers have been signed, or it's just open promise that I might, give this amount, and you want to believe that it's okay, so they're on board. And then when you get the phone call that actually I'm not going to join. And then if you're talking about bigger amounts, it's going to hurt. It's going to be like, but this, I was relying on this. And now when you are saying that you're not coming along, how I'm going to fix this? Because usually in these rounds, you have some minimum amount that you want to raise. So then it's a question of how do you handle it? Of course, you're in a shock and you feel like this is again. I took a risk of believing things will turn out the best, and they didn't, because it made me feel better when having the that I'm gonna win this, and then you get this hit that one ticket is lost. But then usually I just what I do during those days, I either go to dance. So I think dancing is my other superpower, and try to forget everything. It doesn't work out always, but it actually still makes me, the physical movement is actually good. I think that there's a research behind that as well, that you really, it helps you. And then I usually go early to bed and somehow trust that the dream does the magic. And so it usually does, because the next morning when I wake up, I'm usually like, well, but how can I fix this? That's the question that this hashtag never give up. Usually I wake up and I'm going to think that, but this is a setback. It was a huge setback. But how, is there anything I can do? Is there anyone I can call? or then I might even call someone and tell that, I don't think that I'm going to make it. And please choose the people who then tell you that yes, you are. Let's talk about it together. Let's start to see the options. Let's open up what alternatives you have. And that's very important to have those people around you who lift you up the moment when they can see that, oh, she's about to give up. That, where does this come from? And then you end up, close the phone, and then you're like having the energy back again, and you're wanting to win the game, so to speak. It's not a game, but anyways, you get the point. So, and I don't know where that really comes from. That when a few of my friends have been telling that
I know.
I don't understand you. That the morning you were telling me that everything is gonna go like, there's no hope, and then 2 hours later, I see you in some picture in some event, smiling and telling that things are gonna go well, and then I'm like, well, I changed my mindset. How do you change your mindset from completely giving up, miserable, even this, I'm not going to be good enough, to, yes, we're winning the game. And I don't know. I really don't honestly know what's the trick, but I can do it if I want to. Actually, now that I start to think about it, yes, I know. As long as I believe that the solution or the thing that we're doing matters, and things that I believe to, I usually put my utmost to everything. That's what I've been telling to few investors who hesitate, that are you, do you have the experience, or do you have it in you? And I've been telling that, I'm the person who just doesn't give up. And saying that, it doesn't mean that I'm not willing to change my mind or willing to change the course of the company. But, if you invest here, I can guarantee you that if things would go, if things wouldn't work out the best way, you can be sure that I've done the most everything or anything, and basically then at least, because some people might think that they quit early, and I think that too many do. I don't know why, but they get tired, and I understand it when you're getting too many hits and the risks are not turning the best way, that you take huge risks. I think that's part of being an entrepreneur. And then if they don't pay off and you fail and you fail and you fail, it's certain it's hard. It's very hard, and it's very energy taking. I don't even know how to describe the feeling of the roller coaster ride that I've been to, that sometimes you're like the highest of the highest, but the lowest of the lowest are something that it's hard to describe, because you really feel like you can't get up anymore. And yet then after good night's sleep or even bad night's sleep, I'm like, perhaps it's a curiosity or somehow this attitude of, I'm trying to find a way or answer to the impossible question. And guess what? Quite often you find it. If you just start to doing things, and then someone opens one door, and then you start to all just to see the solutions again.
Yes, definitely. There are those ups and downs when you put yourself out there. You take the risk to represent your idea. You take the risk to believe it will turn out well. You get the funding, and as you said, the last moment, the things maybe doesn't work out. But on the other hand, it's worth to take the risks. But do you feel, have you avoided this kind of situation of taking the risks, putting yourself sort of vulnerable in front of others, maybe due to some self-doubt or lack of confidence, or had they had any effect on your decisions about the risks making?
Definitely. I think that there are lots of, I'm pretty sure I have missed a lot of opportunities because especially, I don't know if it's a female thing, but sometimes we stand back because we're very humble and we're very, like, if I say that I can do something, I mean that I can do it. I'm not very good of telling or selling that like things that I will learn, but if I don't know how to do them or at the moment, I might tell that, but I don't have that skill yet. And then if there are people next to me who are selling the future and opportunities, and I'm telling the truth, sometimes I feel that the truth is not interesting enough. I'm very honest about this. So it's like then the ones who are telling that they can do something, although they might not even have the skills to do it, they get more offers or interest than the ones who are very humble and tell the truth. And that's sometimes what also irritates me. And I try to learn to tell and sell more about me as a quick learner. And although I don't know it yet, I will learn it, when I have the right people guiding me and helping me and coaching me. But if there's someone who just tells that, yeah, but this team already tells that they have the skill set, and then I might go and look like, no, they don't. They're just telling you lies, and then you're thinking that, okay, well, but I believe that the world will find its way also to those people, or, well, of course, I've managed to get people around me by telling the truth. So it's a good thing that sometimes truth really matters. And if I would be joining a team or picking up the company to invest, I would honor that a lot. That the founder is actually standing behind what she says, and you can really trust her. Unfortunately, that's not how the world works now.
You mentioned maybe it's a female thing. You are a female leader, founder of your company. How do you see yourself in the position of a woman startup entrepreneur?
Well, this is a good question. We just had International Women's Day last week, and very great speeches that I heard from other female founders. And unfortunately, it's still very sad to understand that especially fundraising for female-based startups is so hard, and it's still the percentage are just going lower. And usually what people I hear this, that females should start to study more technology. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That, okay, that's one way to look at it. Like, let's push females to study more tech. And I'm questioning that a lot. I'm like, why don't you start to think, or why? Well, now we're talking about investing. We can go back to other aspects as well. Why don't you start to look at the things and the problems that the world are facing? They are a lot more complex. And some of the solutions, yes, tech is supporting the scaling up, but actually some of the solutions that especially female-founded companies are creating are fixing more complex problems in the world. They're actually creating good things to the world. But the downside is that it takes a longer time, and money might follow a bit later on. So it's like, and there's this bias. I think that's the reason that the female-led companies quite often are they want to really change the world in a way of bringing something new, services or solutions, and they might lack the skill of telling that how is this going to make more money to more people. And my question is that, do we really need a world where there is more money in the world? When you look at what's happening now to the climate, to the people around us, that shouldn't there be now the time to start to think about that? What are the solutions that are gonna save the humanity of this world? And of course, building up a business that stand sort of that the business works. And of course, in business, you have always money involved. But I guess that still that is a question of what is the actual impact of the investment and how you can create good things in the world by supporting good things in the world and spreading that up. And that's not technology always. And I guess that's my message to everyone who's listening to this, that please stop. This is not going to be fixed in a year's time if the only solution is to push more female to study more technology. Good luck with that. That's like my advice. But when you're thinking about the original question, can you go back to that I felt that as a female founder, what other alternatives or
how do you feel in that position? And I have to say, did you see just there was in the news, I don't know if you happen to see that the women are facing in the startup industry or the environment, they are facing this is it the word harassment
I did read it, and it made me so sad. Because it wasn't it done in Finland. I think that it was.
Yeah, I think it was,
and it was. I was really sad of reading it. It made me think. Of course, I have 2 daughters myself, and trying to think that, is this really hasn't the world really changed? Because I think that I myself live in a bubble, because I happen to have super great men around me who've been super supportive in so many ways. And I sort of thought that this is the way that it is for everyone. And then it really hit me I'm the lucky ones. Obviously I am, because I haven't faced any of that kind of approach from anyone. I've been just getting a lot of support, advices. I've always felt this is the way to go, and great that the world is finally changing. And it sort of broke my heart, if I'm very honest, to realize that, oh my goodness, there is stuff to be done in this matter. But I'm very proud of those women who stood up and told their stories, because things are not, if you're just quiet, nothing's gonna change. So it was very important to make it visible, and hopefully one day we don't hear those stories anymore. But I'm like I said, I'm the lucky one then who can say only positive and good experiences from working with men or talking to investors. So I have nothing bad to say, honestly. So, but yeah, I also happen to know a few that are not that lucky. So, but I just thought that, still in my mind, I thought that the things are better than they really are. So that leads back to sometimes going away from your own great bubble to real world, where there's lots to be done. And I hope that I also read, I was listening to a research where younger girls were interviewed, and they were asking they were asked that would they want to be entrepreneurs. And positively, quite many had curiosity or had interest towards it, but they were wishing to have more role models from female founders who have succeeded. And the things that they also wanted to see, that they would have wanted to see female founders with empathic, outgoing, friendly approach. And thought that, oh well, that's also not very typical in Finland, because many female leaders that I remember are very tough and are very, I would say, hard to approach would be the word, but I'm not talking about not my generation, perhaps the generation before that. So I thought that, oh my goodness, I'm trying to hear in their message, and myself not really wanting to be the role model, but I would want to encourage them. And perhaps that made me realize that I also need to speak up more and bring out the good sides and also the bad sides. I don't want to lie that this is not an easy road. So hopefully then, because if that's an obstacle, I want to be part of the solution in a bigger picture, because we need more females to be founding companies and building up big businesses. That's for sure. That's what we need.
That's so true. Also, that reading that still in 2024 it's just devastating to read that kind of news. But coming back to happiness, what inspires you the most about the bringing the happiness, bringing the health in the working environment for everyone, available for everyone? What inspires you to continue doing that work?
Well, because I think that at the end of the day, if the happy people create happy environments, it sounds silly, but what drives me is that we have an opportunity to help individuals and also organizations to thrive and to find themselves and to actually enjoy their life, bringing some elements of joy and happiness. So of course, doing good, I think that's part of then helping, doing good and helping. As long as those are present in regards of whatever I'm doing, that makes it meaningful for me. And I would just love to hear stories how, and we've been hearing stories how what we've done have actually helped people. So I can't think of better way of leaving my footprint to this world other than helping out others who are in need of, like now we can see and read from the reports, what's happening in the work life is not something that things are not very good when talking about mental health issues, etc. So I'm just wishing that we could bring solution to make it better for everyone.
That's really inspiring. And Jaana, time flies with you when talking with you. I think that's also the Karelian side you like talking a lot.
I'm not known for the person. Don't ever, if I try to be very short, then but I can be, but it needs to be like very well organized. So sorry if I'm taking a lot of time.
One last question for you, Jaana. How you see the future of breaks, happiness as a service? What future brings and seems ahead?
Well, me being the never give up dreamer, big thinker, of course we're gonna make it a global phenomenon out of this, and building a global business case, starting from UK to start with, hopefully even this year, and then of course creating almost like a movement type of a thing with what we do, and that's where I see us going. It's a big vision, and helping out individuals around the world, and starting from Finland, but the goal is there.
That sounds super exciting. I'm super excited about the future of the breaks. You're gonna break the world, obviously.
Yeah, gonna break it.
But Jaana, thank you for sharing your ideas, your story, your leadership as a woman, as an entrepreneur, being there, put yourself out there, bringing the happiness and health for people. Thank you, Jaana. I'm looking forward to the future of the breaks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was lovely to be here.
Thank you. RisknFlow says also thank you for the listeners and watchers. Remember to follow us and subscribe YouTube and Spotify channels. Thank you and see you in the next episode.